When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. You're ready to move your business forward, but first you need to find the right team. Start your search with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It can help you reach qualified candidates fast, ensuring your listing is the first one they see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. See the results for yourself. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Dr. Raj.
Dr. Raj. Dr. Raj Dasgupta.
The most interesting pulmonologist in the world.
Welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast, a show all about empowering knowledge, addressing difficult topics, raising awareness, and being positive. Dr. Raj is a quadruple board-certified physician, associate professor of clinical medicine, and the associate program director of internal medicine residency. He was a co-host on the TNT series Chasing the Cure with Ann Curry, as well as a regular on the TV show The Doctors. And now, here's our show.
Hi, and welcome to the Dr. Raj Podcast. I'm your guest host, Becca Spahr. In real life, I'm a keynote speaker and likability coach who helps leaders find the courage to be likable by speaking about the benefits of positive leadership mindsets. But today, I am very excited to be a part of the Dr. Raj Podcast family and to introduce you to today's guest, who is Diana Varco. Diana is a performer who is so talented in improvisation, storytelling, and acting, but she doesn't stop there. She has also fashioned herself as a mental health advocate who encourages people to explore their life experiences through a lens of creativity, which I absolutely love. I can't wait to get this conversation started. Diana, welcome.
Thank you.
I wanted to tell you that as I was preparing for the show, I did a little digging. I did my research into my guest, and I saw a quote from you that really stood out to me. You said, "Improv taught me to approach life from the perspective of possibility." And I thought that was really powerful. Can you tell me what that quote means to you?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, it's really great to have this conversation with you, and I appreciate being on the show. In improv, it was just normal that the number one rule of improv is yes and. So that is just adding information to whatever your object you're bringing forward or scene you're in. So it was very common for me to be in a normal scene and then yes and see where my curiosity would take me. Oftentimes I would end up playing a mouse in a scene, or a button, or the concept of relativity. Like there was nothing that was off the table in improv. It was actually part of the scene in the game to see as high and as wild as you could go. Sky's the limit. So in my own healing, the concept of curiosity and possibility really played a key role as well.
I love that, the idea of curiosity, because when we're thinking about mental health, and we've all got our things that we've been through. For me anyway, in my own journey, to me, one of the things that I really had to work on was that yes and when you think about it, it's like, okay, well, I felt this way, okay, but then what else? Yes and okay, and I felt this way, and that really helps to kind of like peel back all the layers to sometimes a very raw place, and it feels like you're picking a scab, and maybe it gets worse before it gets better. But I think for so many people, that's actually a really important aspect of healing. So can you tell me how like your creativity helped you heal, like through some of your personal experiences that left you at a place that you felt like you needed to pursue something that was going to help you recover?
Yes, and I do have to say that it's been a process. This is not something that happens overnight. I've definitely trained myself to have this perspective around my own healing, and that concept of creativity and that concept of peeling back the very complex onion that we all are. So I think that for me, at first, I started with trained professionals, and I've always worked with therapists that have helped me to start to see, possibility of perspective and to reframe. It's a very common theme in therapy. And it was never my intention to start to create creative work on the hardest things that I've gone through. That was never in my career path. But I found myself that I was in the comedy world, and I was healing after a very, very difficult life experience, which was a sexual assault. And I found that the comedy world, the world around me, really didn't understand how much their perspective around sexual assault was affecting me and possibly their peers. Because in comedy, it's very common for violence and gender-based violence to be the butt of the joke. So I found myself really being re-traumatized every time I was in a comedy room or an improv scene that dealt with that topic. And there weren't a lot of survivor voices. And it got to a point where I was about to leave, and I ended up meeting my director, Jessica Lynn Johnson, who had the same style as me with character work and kind of a fantastical lens that she put to life's experiences. And I ran out of excuses to stay silent. So at that point, I was like, well, you have a training. You have no other reason not to create on this. So I decided to write a response and put my experiences into my solo show, Shattered. And then eventually other stories popped up, and that became my new solo show, Rise.
So you've gone through, I mean, I heard kind of a metamorphosis happen in that story.
Oh, yeah.
You just told me that you started this and weren't feeling like your experiences were shared or understood, which is reasonable, because I think for a lot of people say like, well, they use humor as a coping mechanism, and like if I don't laugh, I'll cry. And so a lot of people's reaction when they hear something difficult or hear about something who has hurt them or someone they love, it's kind of easy to like make a joke about it. Like you said, it was sort of like the punchline a lot of times. And so that's really interesting to me and inspiring to me, honestly, that you took that and turned it into, metamorphosized into a completely different perspective. So how has your performance, everything, but in particular, the two shows that you've written and star in, how has that kind of changed the scene? Like what kind of reception do you get from those?
I'm no longer really presenting those with the same audiences that I was part of during my time in the improv world. So I don't know specifically the scene of the comedy world, how it's changed. But for me, the reception, the scene that I'm now part of, it's been transformative. I've had, people are taken with the conversations that I'm able to unpack. And I didn't even realize what I was bringing to the stage when I wrote it. I was just looking for a way to express myself and put experience that I had been through on the stage. And I was trying to find a way to express something that I didn't have words necessarily for. So sometimes the story comes out in sounds, or sometimes it comes out in a movement, or sometimes it comes out in ways that I don't actually know that word. But for some reason, it really resonates with people, and they can be like, oh, I've been through that. And so my reception has been that people have either come up to me afterwards and been like, I haven't been through what you exactly say, but I've been through something similar. And I know that feeling. And for the first time, I feel seen. I have people that are not happy with me for what I'm bringing forward, because I tell it truthfully. So sometimes it stirs something within them that they might have to look at. And I get a variety of people that have been through so many life experiences that they understand, like maybe the voice I'm bringing to life, and that that mimics something that they've been through. So it's always surprising with the reception I get, but mostly it's always positive and connective.
That to me, you have to be incredibly brave. First of all, to even share a trauma like that about yourself is huge. To do it on stage in front of hundreds of people is huge. you're like seriously opening yourself up to like major vulnerability. How have you been able to coach yourself through that to find the bravery to do that?
I think that thank you for saying that, first of all. I think the first night I performed mostly for family and friends with my first show. And it was me, again, running out of excuses to say, this is what I've been going through that nobody knows. Like a lot of my closest friends didn't even know what I had been going through. So that first night of the premiere of my first solo show, Shattered, was really for me to like share with my friends. And I think from that point forward, it's been oftentimes for the audiences to know that I'm doing it in service of someone who might really need to hear that story, even if it's just one person. And then over the years, the artist in me has kind of taken over and understands the importance of the shows for advocacy and for creating impactful conversations. But also the artist in me is enjoying the creative experience of really filling out these stories.
Yeah.
So it's been a very complex journey. And there's at some points where I'm like, oh, right, I lived that. And so for anybody out there that is wondering if they should create on their story or try to find creative expression, it's when we put our lived experiences into creative work, they become stories and they help us to start to release some of those things we hold on to.
I really like that. I laugh, but I do a lot of talking to myself.
No, laugh. I do too. I bring
yeah.
voices of the mind to life. So like, that's my thing. Don't worry.
I love it. We're sisters there. I do it like when I'm driving or if I'm just like cleaning or something. And I have, sometimes it's kind of internal. Sometimes it's actually saying it out loud. And I feel like that's kind of one of the first steps in telling your story is like that sort of personal storytelling where you're telling it to yourself. And so some people might do that by talking to themselves. Some people might do it by journaling. Maybe there's other creative ways to get it out through through painting. Some people paint or that kind of thing. How did you first tell that story to yourself?
Yeah. I think that sometimes it's hard for us to admit the hard truth. It's hard. And like, let's normalize that even telling yourself and talking to yourself is hard, especially when we're talking about such life-changing experiences as I bring to the shows. So at first I started with denial and I avoided the fact that had even happened to me. And it came to a point where I was needing support, professional support. There was a point of no return and I had to seek therapy. So I started with admitting those hard truths in the context of therapy with professional support. And then the creation process though started in journaling. I would just journal. And my journals, I talk about in my second show, Rise, but my journals really became my comfort and the place where I could start to tell these difficult secrets and know that they were my own private sanctuary. It got to a point, especially as I was having more and more of those comedy experiences in the comedy world where I was re-traumatized, I started working with a life coach and she would give me writing prompts and I started to whisper those stories and I started to bring voice to them. And I, of course, vowed never to ever share these stories. And then I met my director and brought them to the stage. But it was really life-changing when I started to bring, as I said, I mentioned I create characters from the mind. It was really interesting when I started to bring those same characters and those same comedy concepts into my daily life to reframe my perspective. So like one of my characters is Shame. And Shame is an awful character. He's always like, you're not good enough, Diana. You know, he's really awful, but so fun to play. And so I started to notice when that voice popped into my mind. And that was a hard truth I started to admit to myself. I was like, oh, wait, I'm really mean to myself. Mm-hmm. And is that what I really believe? And I started to unpack that truth and be like, wait, that's not what I believe. What do I truly believe about myself and about my experiences?
So it sounds like in addition to kind of thinking it out, writing it out, by personifying the feelings that you were having, by giving them attributes, physical attributes like a voice, and you probably imagined how they looked in your head. I mean, you're even giving them a gender, he and she, and how do they look, and what are their mannerisms? I feel like that could be really really helpful because like you're getting to know your own emotions, which seems
Yeah.
like something you should already know. Like we just, as humans, these emotions, these feelings are inside of us, so we must inherently know them, right? But really, we don't. And
No.
so I can really understand that process of like sitting down and reflecting and putting thought into, and then putting pen to paper about who these feelings are, what they're like, how they portray themselves, how they sound, all of that. And gosh, I feel like that could be really helpful to so many people. So what advice would you give to someone who is curious about going down this road of using creativity to understand their own mental health better?
I would definitely say that your unique way of viewing the world is yours. And however these stories start to come out, and maybe they come out in song, or maybe they do come out in visual arts, or even maybe your therapeutic way of creating is gardening. We all have our own way of creation, and so mine might be character work, and for a lot of people that is very fun. So if you do hear, if you do have like a little line that comes up or a little character, like it's okay to put voice to it or to just play it a little bit. Even if I'm playing it on like a scale of 1 to 10, and I'm playing on a 10, and you just maybe think it on a scale of 1, that still has some benefit if you just tiptoe into it. But I would say like honor your style and honor your own what lights you up, what type of artistic expression lights you up. I would also say if they are really potent experiences like I bring forward in my shows, have support to do that. Because especially when you share, because I think there's an element of self-care that's really necessary that I know I didn't understand going into it, even though I had been in therapy for a long time. It's really important to take care of yourself and your mind and to tiptoe into these experiences, especially if they're big. If they're everyday experiences, like sometimes I use improv and character work around like networking or anxiety around whatever I'm going into. Those are a little bit easier to play in rather than really potent trauma.
Sure. This, you have to have an incredible, I feel like this could be overwhelming or challenging to so many people because you really have to tap into your imagination to use creativity as a way to get to know yourself and your past experiences better. And some people are really afraid of that.
Yeah.
Or they feel like they can't do it. I know that when I was young, I very much got the message of like, creativity is good and that's nice, but it sure doesn't pay the bills. So let's find a different way to go. Like, oh, isn't that nice that you drew a picture? But let's be realistic here. Creativity isn't really good for anything. And it took me a long time because I do feel like I'm a creative and artistic person and I appreciate those things. But I think to a lot of people, it's a very foreign concept I think a lot of people don't even think that they are creative, first of all. And then to actually say, okay, well, maybe I am, maybe all people are inherently creative in some way. Let me find what my thing is that I can do. So like, what about the people who are just like, nope, not for me. I'm not creative, period, hard stop. What would you say to that?
I think that we all start creative. I mean, we all play as children, and you're right.
Yes,
Many of us, and I have too, gotten that message all along the years that creativity is not necessary. It of course doesn't. You have to grow up, and a lot of times that's why I sometimes don't share what I'm doing because I'm like, is this too like not adult? Like, should I be more adult? And then I realize I'm like, this has transformed my life. And I am naturally a creative person. And I find that as I talk to people, they are too. We all watch movies, we all read books, we all do consume media. And humans create that. So like we all are creative. And also there's new research coming out too that you don't have to be necessarily perfect or good or anything in an art to have it have health benefits.
Yeah.
If you're just doodling or you hum a tune, like humming has therapeutic benefits. So naturally we regulate through some form of sound or movement or visualizations. Many of us do that, and that's all creation. That's all creativity.
That's a great way of reframing it, and that maybe it's like micro creativity that people are taking part in every day when you doodle a little bit, or you hum a little tune, or you're talking to yourself and you tell a joke or something like that, or you make yourself laugh. I know I think I'm way funnier than most people do probably, but I hope others are like that too. That's very encouraging, that to say to people, like, everybody has creativity within them. It's just a matter of maybe like figuring out what it is. So start with what makes you feel good. Start with what makes you, brings you some joy. Whether it's like cooking or reading or whatever. Yeah, writing, any of that. I like that.
It's all creation.
Yeah, yeah. My daughters and I do a lot of like little craft projects, and it's all kinds of stuff. Like my youngest does a lot of like knitting, and my oldest does a lot of drawing. But sometimes I'll find something that we can either like two or all three of us can do together. And we have the best conversations while we're doing those things, while our hands are busy or our eyes are busy, but like we can still talk. So I find that is one form of creativity that for me really works, to just be present with my kids and talk to them and hear about what they're thinking about in like a very like low stress environment where we're just enjoying what we're doing and enjoying each other's company. Now I'll share another little secret about myself, which is that at some point in my life, I'm going to put this out here to the universe and to the podcast family, that I have always wanted to do improv comedy, and I have never been brave enough to do it.
Oh, I love it.
So give me your advice. How does one kind of get started, and what do you need to know going into it, whether it is just purely for the fun of it, whether it's to like learn more about yourself and kind of explore some of these deeper things? What would you tell somebody in my place who's interested and has that spark?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you. I love it. I love it. Improvisation is natural. Like, we are improving right now. You're saying something, I'm responding, and I'm adding to it. That's improv. Like, life is improv. Anything that comes our way, we respond to. Taking an improv class just helps you to train that muscle for any spontaneity come your way, to take it and then yes and it and create from it. It's great for team building. It's great for listening and responding. It teaches a natural rhythm of give and take that, like, we, even as children and babies, we learn to, roll a ball and roll it back. That is what we basically do as improvisers. And it teaches us support. It teaches us so many lessons that you can take off of the improv stage and put into life. So if I was talking to a person that was curious about doing improv, and I was talking to an adult, I would be like, well, it's great for your career. And sometimes that like helps people be like, oh, right, then it's great for my career. I should go to an improv class. Some people want to take it for fun. Some people are curious. Even as an improviser, I go into improv classes and I will be very anxious or nervous about what's going to come my way. And then I start to play and I forget about it. And so I would say it's natural to have a little bit of nerves. It's human. So be human, go have fun, and try it. You're already improvising.
Yeah, we are all every day. I guess every conversation you're kind of improvising, and some people are better at it than others. So, I like that idea of like taking a class as a way to like improve the like thinking on your feet, asking questions, responding to questions in meaningful ways rather than just kind of like a quick yes, no. I feel like that could be helpful in a lot of ways, like personally and professionally. But yeah, more people need to get on that.
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out. I know where I live, there because I looked into this. There is like an improv scene, and they have it's like, I think it's just kind of like you just walk in and you show up at whatever times, and then you can kind of stay like throughout the evening and do it. So maybe I'll just go as like a spy first and just watch and
Yes.
see.
Yes.
I'll find some gumption to go up there and actually do it. I think it's the inhibition that I need, where I don't know. It's scary. It's scary. It's scary to get up on stage and be vulnerable and open yourself up to people, and you don't know what's coming at you. So
I think of it like a roller coaster. Like, we're scared when we get on a roller coaster, right? And then you go up the roller coaster, and then you go down, and then it's fun.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You just have to get on.
Yeah, you just have to get on. I like that. That's like the one-liner. You just have to get on and just do it and see where it goes. That's good. Well, I have so enjoyed talking to you. Is there anything else you're dying to just share and get out there?
I just want to say thanks for having this conversation with me. It's really fun to share my work. It's fun to have a lens into it and to create these conversations and just normalize that we all have emotions and that we all have things that might scare us, and we all have histories that like feed into whatever we're going through. So I just want to say thank you very much.
Yeah, just talking about it and putting it out there. I agree with you so much, that idea, like we all have emotions, because I haven't cracked the nut really on why it is this way, but for whatever reason, where many of us are really conditioned to just keep that side of us to ourselves. One, because it can be uncomfortable to others, but it can also be uncomfortable to you, or it could make you appear, weak or unhinged or whatever. But the fact is, you really can't get around that we all have this floating around inside of our heads, and every day is a different roller coaster. And so to be able to not harness, but like understand that. That's why I really feel great when I heard kind of about what you're doing. Like, therapy isn't for everyone. Some people have tried it, they have a bad taste in their mouth, or there's still, some stigma attached to it. Okay, yoga's not for everyone. Meditation isn't for everyone. Medication isn't for everyone. But there are so many ways that we can be better in touch with our mental health, that we can react to things that have had an impact on our mental health, that we can be proactive to preserve or save our mental health before we get to the point of burnout or trauma or whatever it is. It's like this menu. There's just all these different ways that you can take action to be healthy about it. But I think that creativity is probably not one that most people would think of first. It wouldn't be like in the top 3 or 5, because I don't know, it doesn't come to my mind. So what you're doing is really important, being vulnerable, putting yourself out there, and helping people to realize that through creativity, you can really make gains on becoming the best person that you can be by addressing some of the things that maybe are holding you back. So
thank you.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that, and I'm walking away with this with a better understanding of how you can use creativity, and I'm pumped to also get myself into some improv, maybe it's just for fun, maybe it's to save my brain, I don't know, but thank you so much, Diana. I hope that we'll be able to talk some more in the future.
Thank you.
Everybody take a look at the show notes. We've got Diana's website and her social handles in there so that you can see some of the work that she's done and is doing, which is so important. So thank you so much, Diana, for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Dr. Raj Podcast. If you enjoy the show, then please make sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app and leave a rating while you're there. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. This has been a production of MedPrep2Go, and you can learn more at medprep2go.com.